Hello, this is Roy Mendel Weinberger. I'm a spiritual life coach and a mindfulness teacher, and continuing this series of videos about the Hebrew alphabet. We're up to the letter Hey, as you can see right up here. The general theme of the letter Hey is expression, and we're going to go more into that in the form, the name, and the number. But just as a preface, to notice something quite profound and beautiful about the Hebrew alphabet, the three letters that lead up to the Hey, or the two letters, the Gimel, as we said recently, and in the video on the Gimel, Gimel is Gemilut Chasadim. It's the rich man running after the poor man, which is the dalet. Dalet means poor. The dalet is standing on one leg. He's unstable, and it represents malchut. So, like Chesed is running after malchut, to give that foot that's outstretched on the gimel, to give to the daled, and that little foot is given to the daled, becomes the Hey, and that's the little upside down yud on the bottom left of this letter. So that's the big theme of receiving and then expressing. So let's get into it. The form of the dalet is, there's three lines. There's a horizontal line, a vertical line, and a little, on the left side, the little yud. So the vertical line represents breath. In the physical reality, we have breath or width. And then the vertical line on the right is height, and the little dot, the little yud on the left, bottom left, is depth. And that's the way our world is built, with three dimensions. In terms of the human being, the soul, there's three expressions of the soul. There's thought, which is the horizontal line at the top, which streams, and there's actually two types of thought, which correspond to the number 5, because, well, not the two, but altogether. So there's two kinds of thought. There's the stream of thought, which are just the running commentary that our mind comments about everything we see and hear. We like it, we don't like it. It's pleasant, unpleasant, good or bad. That kind of running commentary. And then there's deep meditative thought, or excuse me, contemplative thought. And then you have on the right, the vertical line represents speech, which comes out of thought. We speak what we think, not everything. We filter out a lot. And that's, what we speak is another expression of ourselves. And the third expression is action, and that represents the upside down yud on the bottom left. And that seems to be separate from thought and speech. That's why people who, there's an expression, walk your talk, that people think a certain way or talk a certain way, but do they actually express themselves in alignment with that? Sometimes yes, sometimes not. And in terms of our divinity or godliness, the horizontal line represents, well, let's start with the yud at the bottom. The yud at the bottom is called sovev, mamalei kol olmin, that God fills the world. He fills the world. Each thing in the world is filled with godly energy according to its capacity to hold it. Like a rock has a low energy, a plant has a higher energy, an animal, and even higher than a human being, the highest. But they're all limited, and this energy is held within the particular creation. There's a second level, which is called soviv kol, that's represented by the vertical line on the right, and that's the way God gives energy from outside. It's kind of the surrounding energy, the aura. If you look at a Sefer Torah, you have the black letters and you have the white space around it. Or even in this letter, you have the black lines, and then the white space would be representing the sovev kol. This light cannot be held it cannot be held in a vessel, but it's related to it. It gives it context. And then the horizontal line at the top represents there's nothing except for God. Before God, there's nothing. There's nothing else. Ein od milvado. There's nothing but God. So that's the way the Hey expresses itself in divinity, the form. Now, what about the name? The name is Hey. Hey, there's a line from Yosef HaTzadik when he had the grain. He was made the second in command under Paro, and he was in charge of collecting the grain during the good years, the plentiful years in Egypt. Hey lechem zera, when he said to the people, he collected the grain, and then when they were in the famine years, he gave them. Hey is like take for yourselves seed. So that this whole idea of seed is represented by the Hey is, like I said, receive that little yud, which is like a seed, from the gimel to the dalet. The dalet was malchut, like the womb, and then the Hey is able to take that and create something. Like it says in the Torah that this world was created with the Hey, and the next world with the yud. So there's a lot of things to say about that, and like we say, that the yud is like a womb in the body of, like a little conceived baby inside the womb of the mother. And in terms of divinity, the name that's used in creation is Elokim. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. But right at the end of creation, it says, Eile toldot hashamayim ve'haaretz behei baram. So that Hey is added on. And that Hey represents the power of creation. Just like Avram Avinu wasn't able to have children until he got added that Hey and became Avraham. And Sarai was called Sarai, Shin Resh Yud, and her name was changed to Sarah. Also, the Hey was added. So that gave it the ability to express herself through becoming pregnant and having a baby. And in terms of divinity, so yeah, we mentioned that already. Now, the last part is the number 5. That Hey is Gematria 5. So, in terms of the world, there's 5 visible planets that you can see from the Earth: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. We have, when we speak, we have 5 parts of speech, 5 organs of speech, and they are the throat, the palate, the tongue, the teeth, and the lips. That helps us to express ourselves. And since we said the Hey is the ability to express, whether God expressing or we expressing ourselves. And in terms of souls, there's 5 levels of souls: Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida. Nefesh was related to the body, the life of the body. Ruach, the life of emotions and speech. Neshama, related to thought, intellect. Chaya is like the sovev, the surrounding light. It's the energy that is not in the soul. It's not in the body, but it's part of the soul that gives life to the body, but outside the body, but close. And then Yechida is the part of the soul that's one with God. It's Chelek Elokam Imav, actually one with the Creator. Okay. And the last part, divinity. So the famous 5 is Chamisha Chumshei Torah, the 5 books of the Torah, which is God's message to us through Moshe Rabbeinu, and accompanying the written Torah is, of course, the oral Torah. So that's something about the letter Hey in terms of the form, the name and number, in terms of the world, souls, and divinity. Now, how do we use the Hey in our practice, in our spiritual practice, in our mindfulness practice. So actually, the way you pronounce the hey is just with the breath. There's actually no hard sound to it. It takes on the sound of the vowel. If it's a patach, it's ha. If it's a chirik, it's he. It's really just breath. So we could just feel as we're breathing in and breathing out, we're saying hey, and we're saying this letter. And also, we before we express ourselves, we want to be in touch with who we are. When you do mindfulness practice, you sit in silence and you observe your thoughts. You observe your emotional state. You observe your body sensations. And you find relative silence, like the silence of the hay. And then, afterwards, when you go to express yourself, you're expressing yourself, you're coming out of the silence into speech, out of the silence into thought, out of the silence into action. So, and that's the way we can approach our spiritual practice, using the hey as even taking in an idea and let it conceive, let it sort of impregnate us and gestate for some time before it gives birth into thought, speech, and action. So those are some of the things about the letter hey. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment below and feel free to contact me. I do give a complimentary coaching session to anyone who's interested. And also I teach mindfulness. I live in Eretz Israel. So thank you for watching and listening, and have a wonderful, productive day.